Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to change the oil in your manual gearbox for your Toyota 86, Scion FRS, GT86 or Subaru BRZ. Okay, so doesn't matter which year, this applies to all manual gearboxes. So the tools you're going to need, okay, so you're going to need gearbox oil. So this is a GL4 7590. You're going to need 2.2 litres of oil to complete this change, so nearly the whole container of that oil there. You'll need 2 crush washers, so that's the part number there. The drain and fill uses the same crush washer, so same part number there. You'll need a 10mm hex for the drain and fill plugs. So I've just shoved this on a ruler. So this is the one I generally use if I have to use the breaker bar to undo either of those plugs. And this just gives me enough room between the gearbox and the transmission tunnel to get this in. So you can see that that's about 65mm long. That one there is far too long, so it won't fit. And this one here is just your normal Allen key, 10mm Allen key, and that fits just fine. So I guess these are Allen key bits as well. Righto, you'll also need a 10mm socket and a 12mm socket. If you've got one of these little jiggers that you can throw on a drill, that makes things a bit easier. That's just to get the bottom tray out from underneath the car. And yes, just some ratchets and extension bars if you need to. And also it doesn't hurt to have a breaker bar just in case one of those plugs is a bit stubborn. Also grab some degreaser, some nitrile gloves, some shop towels, and you'll also need an oil drain pan as well as a suction gun. So that's the oil suction gun that I generally use. Takes about 500mm on each drawer. So it takes about 4 of those to fill the gearbox up a bit more. That's one I picked up from Aldi, but I don't think I'll use that. Grabbed that yesterday for about, I think it was about 14 bucks. And yep, if you've got an electric cordless drill, that will come in handy as well. Rightio, we'll get into it. Okay, so we're under the car. We need to remove this rear splash guard here so we can access the gearbox. We don't need to worry about the front aluminium one, just the rear. So there's a series of 10mm hex screws, and then there's also 2 12mm hex screws that you need to pull out. So we'll go ahead and take all of those out. There's probably about 8 or 9 of them scattered around this guard here. So once you have all the screws out, the splash guard just pulls back, and then you can pull it down and get rid of it altogether. So we'll go ahead and get that removed, and then we can have a look at the gearbox. Right, so this is a gearbox. So that's the front of the car there. Yep, so coming back to the gearbox here, that is the drain plug there, and then back up here, that's the fill plug there. So I need to get that fill plug out first. Never drain anything unless you know absolutely that you can refill it. So we'll get that filler out first, and then we'll take the drain plug out. You can see here that there's not a lot of room between the transmission tunnel and that fill plug, so you need to be careful, as I said at the start, about the length of the Allen key that you use to get in there. So loosen that filler, and then we can go ahead and drain the gearbox. Once again, lefty loosey. We should be able to take that, so that comes out by hand. I've had this out before, so it's a bit easier. Then we can go ahead and get onto our drain. This one's been out before too, so hopefully it shouldn't be too tight. I'll actually get that socket and the breaker bar onto that. Okay, it's loose there now, so we can take that out and drain that into our oil pan. Trying to be careful not to drop this plug into the oil pan. Right, it's got it. As you can see, this oil's fairly clean, but I change this fluid about once a year, as I'll explain the reasons why in a second. Okay, so you can see this drain plug here, it's got a magnet built into it, and all of that black stuff there is metal. It's just worn away from within the gearbox. See, yeah, all that dark stuff on that tissue, that's metal filings. So that's the reason why you need to change your gearbox oil and your diff oil for that matter on a regular basis. Just to make sure you don't have that sort of crap floating around in your oil causing unnecessary wear. Okay, so we'll get a new gasket or crush washer on that, and we'll get that back into the gearbox once it's finished draining. Okay, so that's pretty well finished draining there now. You're never going to get it all out, so we'll just wipe that clean and we'll get our plug back in with the new crush washer. I'll link the part number in the description, or I'll put it up front for crush washer. The drain and fill plugs use the same part for the crush washer, so just be aware of that. Oh, if you see water dripping down every now and then, it's just coming out of the air conditioning system. Fairly warm day today. Right, so I'll get that tightened back up. These don't need to be done up really tight, but they're not a moving part, but just make sure they're in there firm, like so. It's not going to go anywhere. Okay, so now we can take the fill plug out, replace the crush washer on that as well. You'll notice there's no magnet in that fill. We'll just, oh, there it is. I was wondering where that crush washer is. So yeah, just make sure that the crush washer comes out with the bolt, so you don't end up with two on there. Okay, so 2.2 litres of fluid oil needs to go back in there. So we'll use our hand pump, get the tube into that filler and get that filled up. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Hopefully you can see oil going in there. Might be nearly there. You've just got to keep filling it until you get a consistent drip or run out of that filler hole. Once you've got oil coming out of that in a stream, just wait till that slows down, and then you can put your filler bolt back in and you're done. Yep. Okay. So we're done there now. So yeah, we can just put our filler plug back in. And we are done. Okay, so once that's tightened up, just get into that with some degreaser and some water, clean it all up, put your splash guard back on underneath, and that's it, you're done.